mentioned, we were supposed to meet up at South by Southwest. What a trip that would have been.
I know. Yeah, that would have been amazing. It would have been less of a BYOB situation. So cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, right? What are you drinking?
Water.
You are taking better care of yourself. That's awesome.
I'm somehow sober. I have been sober. Well, I mean, I smoke weed, but I don't drink. I haven't drank in more than a year.
Congratulations. That's awesome. Are you counting days? Is that something that you're celebrating, or like is it more how can I support and celebrate you? Is my question without being weird. But I mean, I can just keep asking follow-up questions until it gets weird. I mean, like, how do you want to handle this?
I mean, how do I count? I mean, okay, no, yes, it's great to be sober. I'm not really counting down the days, but I will say that, being sober and dealing with sobriety in quarantine is a different, unique experience.
Yeah.
So I there's nothing like cutting through the monotony with a drink, like it's a thing, of course. If I need to cut through the monotony, I do have like a little, vape pen if needs be. But yeah, I feel like I've been doing pretty all right, but I do have the occasional drinking dream where I'm like 1 or 2 drinks into a bottle of wine, for instance, and then have to suddenly realize like, oh my, I'm drinking.
No, right. Yeah. It's like wake up and having sex with the wrong person. Like, hey, you don't know how I got here, but it's wrong and I have to stop, right? But yeah, maybe we can stop later, like in a minute, I'm not a monster, right? So I don't know.
Yeah. But I mean, I had a pretty good reason to stop drinking. I had a brain injury, so
yeah, I feel like I saw that
pickle the old noggin while it's healing.
Yeah, I mean, holy shit, like so much has happened, I think, since we last talked, right? Because like, how many years ago was it now? Because like, I feel like you had just published. You were on a book tour for Modern Whore, which is excellent, by the way, as a memoir. It's fantastic. Thank you. Chipping away at Whorephobia, one excellent art piece at a time. That's fantastic. But you were doing your book tour, and like, I don't know who your publicist was, but somehow you ended up in my kitchen, and we were doing my podcast, right? Like the Oldest Profession podcast, right? And so we were doing this interview, and we had a great conversation. We really connected because like you'd been talking to people that like are not old pros and like they just talk about it different. And I'm sure it was monotonous and exhausting. We really connected and it was awesome. And then I found out that my microphone was off the whole time. And so I put that interview up on Patreon because I abuse my patrons with content that is like not quite ready for the public whose opinion I care way more about because I'm a monster or whatever. And so if you want to listen to just Andrea and me in the distance shouting, that is available. This whole thing is just an ad for Patreon, I feel like. It's like, but since then, you had first of all, you sold, your book is becoming a movie, which is amazing. And you've had all of this career success and also a massive concussion. Please tell me about that.
Okay. Well, yeah. So I was in New York. I think that was 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I can't remember. Brain injury. But I was in New York to do the Modern Whore book launch at the Jefferson Market Library. And that was such an incredible experience because it was a room in the whole library had been a courthouse and specifically connected to the women's prison. And it was the same, like the room where we had the launch was the same room Mae West was tried in for writing her play Sex.
Yes.
And it was like, oh my God,
that's so perfect
in this room. Oh, it was incredible.
Just in case our viewers don't know, like, do you want to nerd out about Mae West and sex, or do you want me to nerd out about Mae West?
Oh my God, you should
kind of-
nerd out. You
Okay,
know
all right.
so much more than I
All right,
do.
I don't know that that's true, but Mae West, who, for those of you that don't know, first of all, get your life together, but she's a genius comedian and icon in like the early talkie films, and she wrote a play called Sex that is about a very entrepreneurial, self-possessed sex worker and her deciding not to get married. And that, because of the way that obscenity laws and like actual censorship has worked for the whole time, was imprisoned for that. Like she was essentially charged with promoting prostitution and corrupting the youth. It's always about the children, right? And she showed up to court like as like Mae West, the performance artist character, right? It's like Marilyn Monroe showing up to court as like Marilyn Monroe, right? And the press had a ball with it. But she stood up for our rights, but she served time in jail because being right isn't enough. So yeah, that's Mae West and the significance of that courtroom to horror history, which obviously we're both obsessed with.